Welcome to my channel. Today I want to ask a question. Have you ever felt weak in class? Have you ever been laughed at because you could not answer a question? I know that feeling because it happened to me. This is not just a story about math. This is a story about falling, standing up, and discovering something powerful. The power of practice. So listen carefully, because maybe this story can change the way you see yourself too. Part 1, my first fall. I was never a topper. I was an average student. I sat in the middle row in class. I never raised my hand. I was quiet. I listened, but I didn't understand quickly. Math was my biggest fear. The numbers danced on the page. I tried to solve problems, but I failed again and again. One day, the teacher asked me to solve a question on the board. I stood up, my hands were cold. I walked to the board slowly. I picked up the chalk, I looked at the question, and my mind went blank. Everyone stared, some students laughed. I heard one whisper, "He doesn't know anything." My face turned red. I put down the chalk and sat back. That was my first fall. At home, I didn't talk much. I just sat with my notebook, staring at it. My father came and asked, "What happened?" I said, "Maybe I'm not smart." He looked at me and smiled. Then he said one thing that changed everything. Smartness is not born, it's built with practice. That night I couldn't sleep. His words stayed in my heart. Was practice really that powerful? I wanted to find out. Part 2, a small promise. The next morning I woke up early, very early. Everyone was still sleeping. I sat at the table with my math book. I looked at the first chapter. It was hard. My brain said, "Give up." But I remembered my father's words. Smartness is built with practice. So I made a small promise to myself. Just one question every day. That's it, not 10, not 20, just one. The first question took me 30 minutes. I was slow. I made mistakes, but I solved it. Next day I did another, then another. Some days I was tired, some days I failed. But I didn't stop, because I knew small steps matter. After 1 week, I could solve a question in 20 minutes. Then 15, then 10. I didn't become a genius, but I became better. My confidence grew, and so did my courage. Practice was slow, but it was working. That small promise, one question a day, was changing my life. Part 3, the first win. One day in class, our teacher gave us a surprise test. It was a math quiz, 10 questions, 20 minutes. My hands shook a little, but then I took a deep breath. Just try, I told myself, like you do every morning. I read the first question. It looked like the one I had practiced 2 days ago. I solved it. Then I moved to the next, and the next. My pen didn't stop. My hand didn't shake. My mind was calm. For the first time, I felt ready. Not scared, not lost, just focused. After the quiz, the teacher checked all papers. Then she called out names. I looked down, waiting for nothing. But then she said, "Second highest marks him." And she pointed at me. The whole class turned. Some were shocked, some smiled. I couldn't believe it. It felt like a dream. That evening I went home and hugged my father. He said, "See, that's the power of practice." That was my first win, not the last. But the first, and it changed everything. Part 4, a new routine. After that first win, I felt different. Not better than others, just better than before. I wanted to do more, I wanted to grow, so I made a new routine. I woke up early every morning. I solved 2 math questions. Then I got ready for school. In the evening after homework, I solved 1 more question. And before sleeping, I read 1 page from my notebook. I was not perfect. Some days I missed. Some days I felt lazy. But I always returned because I had a goal. And slowly, math became my friend. Numbers didn't scare me anymore. They made sense. My teacher noticed. She said, "You're improving. What's your secret?" I smiled and said, "Practice." The whole class was surprised. The quiet boy in the middle row. He was now solving tough problems. But I knew it wasn't magic. It was work. It was effort. It was practice every single day. Part 5, the big competition. One morning, our teacher made an announcement. "There will be a district-level math competition," she said. "Students from many schools will take part. The best ones will get prizes." My heart beat fast. I had never been in a competition. I thought, should I try? My teacher looked at me and smiled. She said, "You should join. You can do it." At home, I told my father. He said, "Give your best, that's enough." So I filled the form. I joined. Now I had only 3 weeks to prepare. 3 weeks to face students from all over the district. I made a new plan. I solved more questions each day. I asked my teacher for extra help. I stayed back after school. Sometimes I was tired. Sometimes I got stuck, but I didn't give up. Because I knew practice makes progress. And I was ready to give it my all. Part 6, the day of the competition. The big day came, the math competition. I woke up early, took a bath, wore my cleanest shirt. My father smiled and said, "Do your best. We're proud already." I reached the school where the event was held. There were so many students, all from different schools. Some looked very smart. Some were revising with thick books. For a moment I felt small again, nervous, scared. But then I remembered, I have practiced, I am ready. The bell rang, we entered the hall. They gave us the paper. I took a deep breath. Read slowly, solve carefully. That's what I told myself. The questions were tough, but not impossible. Many were like the ones I had practiced. I kept calm, I focused. I finished just in time. When the exam was over, I felt proud. Not because I knew I had won, but because I did not quit. That was my real victory. Part 7, the result day. 1 week passed, then another. I waited for the result. I didn't talk much about the competition. I didn't want to hope too much. Then one morning, my math teacher came into class with a paper in her hand. She smiled and said, "The results are here." My heart started beating fast. She read some names. Then she said, "From our school, 3rd prize goes to him." She pointed at me. For a second I couldn't move. Everyone clapped. Some shouted, "Well done." I stood up, walked to the front. The teacher gave me the certificate. My hands were shaking, but my heart was strong. When I went home, I showed the certificate to my parents. My mother had tears in her eyes. My father smiled and said, "This is just the beginning." That night, I kept the certificate near my pillow. Not for pride, but as a reminder. Practice had changed my life. Part 8, a bigger dream. After the competition, something changed inside me. I was not afraid of math anymore. I enjoyed it. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to teach others, too. I helped my classmates. I sat with younger students and showed them tricks. One day, a small boy said, "I want to be like you." Those words touched my heart. I remembered the time when I was weak, when I was scared, when I thought I would never be good at anything. But now I was helping others. I was growing. That's when a new dream started. I wanted to become a teacher, a good one, a kind one. Someone who believes in students when they don't believe in themselves. I told my father, he said, then keep practicing, keep learning. So I studied harder, not just math, but also books on teaching, how to explain, how to support. My dream had become clear, and my practice had given me the power to chase it. Part 9, the final test. To become a teacher, I had to pass a big exam. It was called the entrance test for teacher training. Everyone said, it's very tough, only the best get in. I was scared, but I also remembered. I had come this far because I practiced. So I made a new plan. Every day I read books, solved questions, watched videos, made notes, practiced speaking. Some days I was tired, some days I felt slow, but I didn't stop. Because now I had a dream, and practice was my best friend. The day of the final exam came. I was nervous, yes, but I was ready. I sat in the exam hall. I took a deep breath. Question after question, I gave my best. When I walked out, I didn't know if I would pass, but I smiled. Because I had done something big, I didn't run from fear, I faced it. And that, to me, was a win. Part 10, the dream comes true. 1 month later, the results came. I opened the website. My hands were cold, my heart beat fast. And then I saw my name. I had passed, I got selected. I was going to be a teacher. I ran to my parents. My mother cried, my father hugged me. I looked at the sky and said, thank you. But I also knew this was not just luck. This was practice. This was hard work. This was belief. Years passed. Now I stand in front of students. I teach them not just math, but also courage, hope, patience. And every time a student says, "Sir, I can't do it," I smile and say, "Yes, you can, just practice." Because now I know the truth. Practice is not small, it's powerful. It can change a weak student into a strong one. It can turn fear into confidence. That's what it did to me. And that's why I will always believe in the power of practice.